Aloha everybody, I'm Susan Nutowitz with letsfeelexcellent.com or the YouTube channel by the same name. What I'm going to do in this recipe is show you how to make an eggplant bacon BLT. So, you know, I personally probably haven't had a piece of bacon in maybe it's got to be close to 30 years, if not 30 years or so. And I really don't care to have bacon ever in my life. So why am I doing this? Because bacon, I've met more than one person where bacon actually is a deal breaker to them. That bacon allows the floodgates to open to every junk food, every excuse to not be healthy and to deprive themselves of health because they say they love bacon so much. I can't imagine it, but it's not my trigger food. But I love eggplant. I absolutely love eggplant, and I used to cook it quite often. Where it wasn't, you know, as a cooked food, it's not really good for you. But we're going to discuss the ingredients of this recipe and how they can actually be beneficial to you. Not really the pros and cons between bacon and eggplant, because there's nothing healthy about eggplant whatsoever. I'm sorry, there's nothing healthy about bacon whatsoever. But eggplant actually is a really healthy food, even though you may have heard that it's a nightshade and that it'll inflame your joints. We're going to talk about that, and then about the other things that we have in here. And I just give you all your choices and show you how you can make a tasty eggplant dish, BLT sandwich. Okay, so here we go. And we're going to start with eggplant. We're going to use the long one, but you can use the fatter one if you want. It doesn't matter. And I'm just going to take off the top here. It's just so beautiful and purple, and eggplants are full of antioxidants. Even the skin. So we're going to leave the skin on, but we're not going to particularly use the skin. But the skin adds color value, and it also adds antioxidants. So I'm going to cut it in half. Now the thing I want you to know, I washed it, and eggplants are extremely porous, so I'm going to dry it a little bit. When I use my mandolin, I'm not going to be able to use the safety on it. So you have to be really careful when you're slicing it. Really, really careful of those fingers. And I'm making them about that thick. Okay, can you see that? And then I'm going to put them in some salt water. And you're saying, Susan, you don't have salt. Well, we're going to have salt in this one because it's bacon. But I'm not using the salt for taste. What I'm doing with the salt here, with the eggplant, or the aubergine, as they call it in the UK, is I'm putting in the salt water, which reduces the solein. And the solein is the chemical, it's alkaloid chemical that it makes to defend itself. And that solein is what gives the nightshades the bad rap. So we're not going to have any solein, but you don't have to worry about eggplants really, because the amount of solein is so low. Where it's really high is potatoes. And green potatoes, as you may know, can kill you. Because that when they go green is when they have all the solein. They're accumulating all the solein. So what other benefits do eggplants have? Well, they're cholesterol fighters. They're bad cholesterol fighters, the LDL. They've been in several research studies known to help diabetes. But not if you cook them. So it's good to have a raw alternative. The other thing that's great about this recipe is it's high in manganese. And manganese is something that's depleted from our soils these days. So we need that mineral, manganese. So we're making, a tasty alternative here. And we're also getting some benefit out of it rather than just frying up some bacon and not getting alternative. Okay, so I can also cut this any way I want to. It's going to go in the dehydrator, so if I cut it more in cubes, then it's going to take longer to dehydrate. So I'm just going to cut it in slices, and then these slices can be my croutons. They can be croutons. They're great for salad. So if I wasn't doing a live recipe, I would probably soak those for like a half an hour. Whoops. Oopsie. But this will be good enough. If I was really concerned about the sodium, I could rinse it off. But I'm not worried about a little sea salt since this recipe is already going to have salt in it. I notice as I've taken, I don't need salt. Some people think they need salt. And I notice I don't need salt. And that the salt really makes me crave. So I really like to watch it with the salt. So I'm going to put it in the salad spinner. And get it nice and dry. I love the salad spinner, OXO. I like its name, but I also like how dry it gets everything. And one more spin. And I like pushing rather than having to crank. Okay, so I have my eggplant. I spilled water everywhere. Okay, so now I'm going to make my marinade. And the marinade is going to be cumin powder. It's about 2 teaspoons of cumin powder. And what I found, I was looking for smoked paprika, and that's probably what I would choose to use is cumin powder, chili, smoked paprika, and maybe some garlic. But I found this one. I didn't find smoked paprika here on the island, so I found this one, sweet mesquite seasoning. Now this one is mostly sea salt. It has some black pepper in it, which is more inflammatory than I like to use. And it does also have a little bit of cane sugar in it. So, but I'm going to use that. That's going to be the main thing that's going to make it bacony. So I'm going to use like 1/8 of a cup. Oops. That's it smells addictive. It smells nice and spicy. Okay, I'm going to use maple syrup. And you say, oh no! This is actually a monosaccharide. You don't have to be worried about it. It's not a concentrated sugar. And it's also, again, it's high in manganese. It's higher in manganese, or just as high rather, than pumpkin seeds without the fat. So that's really good. And I'm probably going to put 1/4 cup in here. Might be 1/8 of a cup. It's a good carbohydrate. It's as far as digestibility, it depends on how well you metabolize your sugars. This is probably, you know, in line with dates or something like that, as far as ease of digestion. And then we have to make bacon. This is not going to be greasy, actually, bacon, but we have to make it fatty. So we're going to use olive oil. Probably 1.5 cups of olive oil. Now here's the thing of, that's probably a cup. Here's the thing about this recipe, about eggplant. I noticed eggplant will absorb all, it's the most amazing thing. Eggplant will absorb all the fat you give it, which is incredible, I think, because how can something this thin absorb any fat? It does get, as we marinate it, it does get juicier, but it's just incredible. You'll watch, you'll see. Now, if you want to make it even, I'm just going to brush a little bit of this on, and there's going to be plenty here. You'll see. So you don't want to like soak it in it. If you wanted less fat, I would do a spray. You know, I would put the seasoning on the eggplant itself and then spray the oil and maple syrup on it, which you could do. So what I'm going to do is just put these eggplants in here. Really mix up my sauce, my excellent barbecue sauce here. And lightly coat them. I'm not even going to do the other side because it will absorb in. Some recipes I noticed use nuts or seeds. Some of them use lemon or lime, and I don't really see how that will translate into the taste of bacon. And the people that tried it said that it didn't taste like bacon. So in all my research, this was the best that I could come up with. So eggplant is a really good source of fiber, and what you can know about fiber is that not all fibers are useful to us. I always wondered that. I said, why just some fibers make us gassy and some fibers are, but yet we need so much fiber. Well, fiber like in grains or potatoes are insoluble. That means we can't really digest them. Grains are really harsh on the system, even if they're ground into flours or they're fermented. They're very, very harsh. In fact, they're more harsh if they're fermented because one thing is the fermentation process that they do, and the other is they're like little needles. It's so harsh that it's like little needles. Okay, now I have all my little pieces. My first attempt here, I was following a variety of recipes, and they all said to soak this in the oil, and it came out so uneven because these eggplants really are like little sponges, and they will just immediately soak up all that oil. So either spray it on or brush it on. When I use these little eggplant pieces in my salad, I don't need any dressing. I just mix them up. It's plenty juicy enough. Plenty enough fat, plenty enough spice. It was just a really tasty eggplant dish. Right. So I have this much extra, which could be a marinade later on. All right, and there's the marinated eggplant, and that's going to marinate. I would marinate it for at least a couple hours. There, and I have some marinated for at least a couple hours. That looks like that, and then we're going to put it in the dehydrator for 24 hours on 115. If you have an Excalibur, it might be less time. So I'm going to lie them out all individually. You can see all the juice that came up out of it. See how there's no juice in here. It's starting, but as it pushes the water out and mixes with the sugars, it will make more juice. So you're going to see I'm going to do a couple eggplant recipes. And I think we gave you some cheese recipes. And I think that's enough to transition with. But I really personally eat a lot less fat than this. And I found great benefit to doing that. So I'm going to start teaching you more just about the foods itself and how food can fuel you rather than how to not have not be deprived from the food that you're used to, because it's it's about going on a health journey and fixing all your stuff, is what this is about. So I want to share with you the benefits that I've had from reducing this, and this is okay every once in a while, and certainly a couple of these per day is fine, because it's not that much fat. I just stay into like about 10% fat, and you're doing pretty good. That is tasty. All right. So I would just put it on there and let it go, and then that'll be dehydrating throughout the evening. I'm not going to turn it on now because it will be too loud. So to make my BLT, I'm going to make some tomato slices. And some excellent Hamakua grown tomatoes full of vitamin C. And then I have my lettuce. You can use any lettuce. I'm using romaine. And then the finished product, they come out like this, crispy. Now, if you need mayonnaise on this and you don't care about your fat content, what I would do, what I would think would be really good on this, is I would put an avocado, mashed up avocado, guacamole. It'd be yum. That'd be really good. All right, yummy. Yummy, 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 good. There's my 2 sandwiches right there. Hard to say how much fat actually there is in them, but pretty good. Okay. So this is my sandwiches. I think it tastes just like, yeah. A little spicy. That's great. So I hope you like the BLTs. Enjoy. I'm going to finish lunch. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and share it with, excuse me, it's spicy. Usually I let the spices chew up in my mouth, but I was talking and it went down. But share this video with everybody you think would be interested in eggplant bacon BLTs. And I will catch you again where we're going to make eggplant parmesan. Okay? Aloha. Have an excellent day.